right, y'all. Welcome, my elite members, to a special requested topic around energy drinks and why some of these ingredients can actually sabotage all of your long-term health and what that means, right? So why does this even matter? Energy drinks, they feel like a lifesaver at times when we're stressed, when we're tired, but the truth is they often create a cycle of cravings, of crashes, of inflammation that actually leave you more exhausted over time. So let's take a look at the biggest problem ingredients and exactly why they're so harmful. And the first is around caffeine. No surprise there, right? These energy drinks most often contain between 200 and 300 milligrams per can. And for reference, that's the same as 3 to 4 cups of coffee all in one go, right? Here's why that's a problem. Number one, it spikes your cortisol. High doses of caffeine trigger your adrenal glands to pump out more cortisol, which is your main stress hormone. Elevating your cortisol chronically leads to carrying excess belly fat storage, hormonal imbalances, and obviously chronic fatigue. The second one is disrupting your sleep. So even if you drink it earlier in the day, large doses of caffeine can actually disrupt your sleep quality that night. So you wake up feeling tired and craving more caffeine, right? And that's because it affects how much slow wave and REM sleep that you're getting, right? Last one is around heart and anxiety. Too much caffeine over time increases your heart rate, your blood pressure, and that gives you the signs and feelings of anxiety or the jitters. So if you're already stressed, burnt out, these big caffeine hits only dig a deeper hole for you. So the next ingredient is artificial sweeteners. So things like sucralose, aspartame, asulfamine, potassium, these are commonly used to keep drinks 0 calories, but that does come with a trade-off, right? So research shows that artificial sweeteners can negatively affect your gut bacteria, and that plays a major role actually in your metabolism, in your digestion, and ultimately your mood, right? And it increases your cravings. So your taste buds still sense sweetness without the calorie hit, right? So your brain still craves real sugar later. And that leads to overeating and to sugar binges because we never actually filled that void and we didn't have any fiber to balance that out. There's potential insulin effects. So some studies actually suggest that artificial sweeteners may still trigger insulin releases or blunt insulin sensitivity over time, and that makes it harder to regulate your blood sugar. And keep in mind, this is higher doses, but if you're eating and drinking a lot of things with artificial sweeteners, they add up, right? The next one is around added sugars, also not a surprise. And if you're not a 0 calorie energy drink person, these cans can have up to 50 grams of sugar per can. And that's like drinking 12 teaspoons all in one go. So what that does to your body, these big sugar loads cause a rapid rise in glucose, and that forces your pancreas to release a large amount of insulin in order to clear that out. So about 60 to 90 minutes later, your blood sugar plummets. That leaves you feeling shaky, feeling tired, and craving more sugar or more caffeine, right? Excess insulin also drives more calories into fat storage, especially around your midsection, right? That's why cortisol kind of does the same thing. And this repeated sugar spikes create chronic inflammation, and that is leading to things like weight gain, to fatigue, and overall metabolic diseases. The next ingredient, synthetic B vitamins. So energy drinks, they always brag about having high B vitamins for energy, but many, actually most, use synthetic high-dose formulations of cyanocobalamin, which is the only synthetic version of B12, and pyroxidine HCI, which is the form of B6 that's also synthetic. So why does this matter? Again, your body has to process and excrete all of that excess, and that stresses your detox pathways. So it overloads your liver and your kidneys. And it's similar to like alcohol, right? It has to focus on getting all of this out in order to open up your pathways. So chronic high doses of B6 in particular can also lead to nerve issues, nerve toxicity, and it gives you that tingling feeling over time. These vitamins, they don't actually give you energy unless you're deficient. Like if you're highly, highly deficient, which nobody is, because it's in so many things, especially these synthetic forms are thrown in every processed health product. They're in, shitty vitamins. So really you're just creating expensive urine. That's it, right? So, okay. A good version of B12 would be methylcobalamin, like any methylated form of vitamins. Fantastic. Okay, other additives that we want to talk about: artificial coloring. So that would be red 40, yellow 5, blue 1. These artificial dyes have been proven to hyperactivity, allergic reactions, and inflammation, especially if you're more sensitive to inflammation already based off of your historical background, right? Your genetic background. So preservatives, things like sodium benzoate, potassium sorbate, those things can irritate your gut lining over time. And if they're combined with vitamin C, which some flavors are, right, they can actually form harmful byproducts in your gut. And that's when you feel real terrible, So these chemicals, they don't serve any purpose for your health. They're there for appearance and they're there for shelf life. So I love Ghost. I love Ghost Energy. And what I hate about them is their collabs. Things like Swedish Fish. They have to add the same formulation, which includes coloring, right? So pay attention to those things. And what do we look for instead? If you still need that boost, the first thing you should look at is potentially reducing and moderating your caffeine to around like 100 milligrams or less. And those should come from clean sources. And what I mean by that is tea, green tea, black tea, coffee, black coffee extract. Reduce your artificial sweeteners. Use a small amount of natural sweeteners instead. So things like pure stevia. Pay attention because a lot of the stevia packets sometimes also have erythritol or dextrose in them, which we don't want. As many of you know, my favorite is allulose. It is a natural sweetener. It actually is less sweet than a lot of these added ones, so that may feel a little bit different to you, but it has a lot of the same benefits as a GLP-1, so it can affect your gut in a good way, and it can help reduce cravings and reduce that appetite and mindfulness around food over time. So it's not an instant for most people, but it's great. It's like the best alternative. Again, look for little to no added sugar. Look for no artificial colors, no preservatives, and bonus points, you can include things like adaptogens. So things like ginseng, electrolytes that are going to support your hydration as well as your energy levels, right? And your key takeaways here is really taking small steps. You don't have to give them up overnight, but just work on cutting back to switching to cleaner alternatives. And the ultimate thing to remember is real energy comes from things like adequate sleep. Are we getting enough sleep? Are we getting enough good quality sleep? Nutrition and stress management. None of these things come from a can, right? So work on the basics before we work on supplementation, as always.